everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in for another incredible hotel business hot topics. Yeah, I said incredible because the people we have today, we are going to learn a lot from them, and I'm super excited. But before we get started, remember, this is an interactive session, so all of you out there have an opportunity to participate as well. So thank you for being here, part of our virtual panel series. My name is Glenn Haussman. I'm honored to be able to introduce this great group of people and participate in this conversation. You may know me from the No Vacancy podcast, my following on LinkedIn. And if you're going to the lodging conference, I'm going to be doing the opening general session for the good folks over there, finding out what's going on in our business, because there's so much change, so much flux. I'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge that this is 9/11. And I know a lot of us remember where we were that day. And I just want us to take a moment to think about that before we get going. But also, I want to know that this is up to you folks over there. And you're going to learn so much today that you're going to have an opportunity to rewatch this whenever you'd like. First of all, it's going to be available online at hotelbusiness.com, available in perpetuity, I have found. So even after we're all gone, we will still have this. So come, dial in from heaven, watch this show. It's going to be pretty awesome. Also, it's going to be in the October issue of Hotel Business Magazine. And thankfully, my friends over at Hotel Business are allowing me to release this as an audio podcast on the No Vacancy News Network. Big thank you to our folks over at Entegra. We would not be here today without them. And today we're going to be discussing optimizing and automating procurement to fuel ROI. And you are sensing it out there right now. Economic pressures are mounting, right? Unpredictability has become that new normal, and hoteliers are trying to find stability. But how can you find stability when things continue to not be stable, right? You're dealing with supply chain challenges, shifting traveler behaviors. Whew, talk about that for an hour alone. And today's leaders, you got to find reliable ways, right, to protect those margins while still delivering on guest expectations. I will take a leap forward in saying you could actually improve profitability and make customers happier if you follow some of the lessons we're going to learn today. So today, industry experts, we're going to talk about group purchasing, procurement optimization, and helping folks like you create some more certainty, even though things are a little messed up. To help us with that, we have the incredible Lisa Carlson, SVP Operations at Remington. Mr. Lars Schrader, also pretty awesome himself, VP Operational Strategies at Atrium Hospitality. And of course, awesome, amazing, generous Yellow, Senior Director, Account Initiatives and Development with Choice Hotels. And rounding out our amazing group, Jeffrey Simmons, VP of Hospitality at Entegra. So folks, so great to see you here today. How's everybody doing?
Awesome.
Doing great. Excited to be here.
Great. Lisa, I know you're excited to be here, but I want to know what you're going through right now. And it's got to be challenging. It's got to be difficult. How are you thinking about this particular marketplace and trying to find success, generally speaking?
Yeah. I mean, it's been really tough around the country. We've seen a lot of ADR erosion, which has really been difficult in terms of trying to produce financial performance that we all expect and need, right? So ADR erosion has been a very difficult challenge for us. And so expense reductions and really managing expenses has become even more the focus, I think, and that's been a real challenge for the industry.
Yeah, it sure has. And that's really a problem out there. We're losing ADR. Occupancy is starting to slip as well right now. So, Lisa, you're right to be focusing on that spending side as much as trying to figure out how to get more people to stay in your hotels. Lars, how are you feeling about the general sense of things right now?
Yeah, I think Glenn, you set it up pretty well. And we've been feeling the weight of operating in a market where unpredictability is really the rule, not the exception anymore. It's not just about reacting to crisis anymore. It's really about building resilience into everything that we're doing, especially when it comes to cost management and planning. So, certainly looking forward to sharing a few things today and kind of hearing what everybody else is doing out there.
Yeah, and listen, again, we want you out there to ask the questions that mean the most to you because we don't know what you need to know. So you gotta let us know. Jennifer, so we've never had a chance to speak before. Why don't you tell a little tell everyone a little bit about what you do for the good folks over at Choice Hotels and that how that kind of informs what we're gonna talk about today with you.
Sure. Yeah. So I work for Choice Hotels. Obviously, we're a large franchisor in the hotel industry, and I am lucky enough to work with a team of procurement specialists. And essentially, we kind of fill the role that you guys are talking about, right? To kind of build the bridge between our hotel owners and their vendors, and then kind of help to develop a procurement strategy, right? So that we can kind of buffer against some of the challenges that our hotels are seeing. Anything from supply chain, cost viability, that's what we're here for. So I'm lucky to get to help our hotels do that every day.
And Jennifer, one of the things that you're probably thinking about every single day, for example, is all your hotels offer a particular type of breakfast as part of them being flagged as one of their choice hotels. Also, you
Mhm.
have a lot of brand standards that you have out there, and you need to be able to maximize opportunity for those hoteliers out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's why our hotel owners have chosen to partner with us like they do other franchisors, right? Because those brand standards and that kind of brand presence is what our guests expect. And even though costs rise or market situations change, right, our guests still expect that certain level of service and a delivery of products and services when they stay at your hotel. So it can certainly be challenging.
It's a great point, Jennifer, because I would say you've got to double down on consistency as prices continue to rise because consumers they don't care what the issues are behind the scenes, right? It's go ahead.
Yeah, they don't, and a lot of times I know, I work directly with our owners council, and then obviously with our hotel owners every day, and sometimes those brand standards can be seen almost as a negative, right? But we're able to, with those brand standards, deliver that consistent guest expectation, right? Which then helps to drive revenues. It helps to support those declining ADRs. And then on the back end, from a procurement perspective, we're able to kind of leverage that volume purchase opportunity that we know is coming because of a brand standard, right? Around a specific SKU or product or service, et cetera. So, no one likes being told what to do. I get that. But instead of looking at brand standards as a negative thing, I think sometimes we also need to realize that that's kind of what makes our brand successful, right? And then allows us to help you on the back end.
That's kind of the whole point in my
It is.
and Jennifer. And I want to thank you for giving me the easiest segue of all time. You got to deal with our friends over at Entegra over there, who just so happens to focus on group purchasing. What a coincidence, Jeffrey.
What a coincidence. Yeah. I mean, Choice is a fantastic customer for us. We work very closely with them, focusing on strategy, on planning, how to improve their breakfast. And it's an outstanding partnership that, Integra is able to bring, as Jennifer talked about, the leverage of a $42 billion organization to bear with Choice. And really, it's that partnership. And I think Lars focused on what I think is an important word, which is resiliency and really planning. And how do you build that into your business in these difficult times? I mean, the journey over, the last 5 years has been very challenging. Me coming at it from a sourcing, procurement, supply chain perspective, seen a lot of ups and downs, most recently, tariff pressure. And how do we deal with that? There's no, we all live in an environment that is incredibly volatile. It's unpredictable. We all want stability. We all want consistency. And so, for me and my team, and what we try to preach is, at first you have to accept the fact that there's going to be some volatility, and then plan and strategize and figure out how you're going to manage through that with partnerships with great suppliers as well as great customers like Choice.
It's a great thing to say. And Lars, you've got properties all over. You got great properties. You're just named number one management company out there in your area. And how are you thinking about creating great experiences for people all around the country. I mean, you've got properties all the way from California, all the way to the East Coast in Virginia, down to Florida, for example. So, how are you thinking about leveraging opportunity, even though you're all over the country and chances are have different types of supplies and food and beverages that are needed?
Yeah, many different. First of all, I appreciate you mentioning the award. Something we're really proud of, and it really comes back to what Jeffrey just said. Volatility is something that we just proactively must plan into our businesses, into the strategy. We know that margins are continue to tighten. Expectations, as you mentioned, are growing from guests as well as stakeholders. And with that pressure, it's not just about cutting costs, but it's really about being intelligent and strategic about how we use our funds from a procurement perspective, and doing so without compromising the overall guest experience. It's certainly a balancing act that has become really a core challenge for every hospitality leader out there today.
Yeah. So, Lisa, playing upon what he says, we know the why. Tell me a little bit about the how and what you're actually doing.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to partner with a GPO, so you can leverage the scale and size of those types of organizations. You can get higher quality products at a lower cost because our guest expectations are increasing. We've got to continue to meet them. And so, partnering with a GPO to help navigate those waters, negotiate the best deals on high quality products so we can continue to deliver on that guest experience is incredibly important right now. And I think there's a lot that can be gained, from partnering with the right partner on those things and ensure that we're providing like the best experience possible.
Yeah, but Lisa, you're also probably not just partnering with one person outside the GPO as a blanket organization, because with a lot that's going on, plus you're also all over the country. You're probably thinking about different suppliers for different regions, different products. How does that work in your ecosystem?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's definitely regional suppliers that we use, local suppliers that we use for certain things, especially on the food and beverage front. I think you've got to have a really kind of balanced approach to that, right? There are some things that are more commodity based and you can kind of go anywhere to get it. There's some things that should be locally sourced. I think that's something that's really coming up. Also, the whole sustainability front, locally sourcing things and having sustainability partners in addition to your GPOs or your mass food distributors and so on and so forth. So I think there's a lot of different avenues that we have to pursue. Um, but again, I'll stress that working with a GPO makes it a lot easier, makes it more efficient, streamlined, better pricing, and ultimately easier to execute. So.
Yeah, Jennifer, at least it makes a great point. People want that localized experience. So, how are you thinking about helping to deliver those with food and beverage and other supplies that are in your property?
Yeah, sure. I mean, cost savings go even further than just, purchase price, right? So, like Lisa mentioned, you want to kind of be diversified in your supplier base. We often recommend to our hotels that, like it's okay to have more than one food distributor, right? If a specific distribution center in your area is out of a product, you should certainly have someone who could serve as a backup, if you will, right, to ensure that those products and services are in your hotel when you need them. And then, as Lisa mentioned as well, too, um, cost savings and guest satisfaction, they go hand in hand. Um, it's not all just about price. Buying better products or things that have longer shelf life. I always say invest in durability, right? Not just price. It's quality, not quantity. If you can buy a product or a service that reduces waste, right? Then that could save labor costs or other expenses on the back end. So a lot of times I tell folks, don't focus always on that sticker price. You need to ensure that that durability, that lifespan of the item is probably, could be a cost savings factor as well.
Jennifer, thank you so much for saying that because I think whenever you're purchasing anything, we have the tendency just as our fallibility as people to look at it in one way. You really have to think about all the ramifications of making that purchase and how it's going to affect you. So you may say, I'm going to make up a number, I'll spend $100 more on this, but it might save you thousands of dollars in labor, right?
Right. Right. Or through liability, right? Or is it an that could protect or enhance your brand standards or a service level? I mean, we're in the hospitality industry, right? You're selling a service, an experience. So to your point, right, you might spend a little bit more on the front end, but it could deliver other revenue or savings on the back end that sometimes I find owners don't always consider.
Yeah, I completely agree. Jeffrey, we got a question, and I think you'll be able to answer this one. If not, it's also up for all of you. The question from the audience is: has sustainability suffered when it comes to procurement because costs are going up across the board?
I think that's a fair question. I would say that sustainability took a little bit of a backseat during COVID, right? As
Great.
certainly more things became
Well, it's hard to be sustainable when you need all these chemicals, things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but you need, individually wrapped cups and silverware and condiments and things like that. So, what I've seen is probably about 2 years ago, I've seen a shift where I think brands and operators are getting back to understanding, okay, we're past that period. How do we get back to sustainability? And I would say a decade ago, when we thought about sustainability, the costs
Right.
were almost prohibitive. Now, not so much. There are going to be certain things, obviously anyone who's adjusted to cage-free eggs understands it in the beginning. I remember when I was working for Hilton and doing assessments on cage-free eggs, we're talking about $1 more a pound kind of thing, and it was almost prohibitive. Those costs have come down. But if you think about something like large format amenities, for example, right? That is, and there was, when you talk about cost savings, guest satisfaction, sustainability, there was a Hilton leader many years ago who came up with a little tagline, and at first I didn't understand it, and then over the years I have, and it was called the genius of the and, which means I can have this and that. I don't have to sacrifice. And I think we've gotten to the point where there's a convergence where sustainability, you really don't have to sacrifice. So large format amenities, for example, you're getting guest satisfaction, you're getting sustainability, you're getting price reductions. I've been working on large format amenities for quite a long time, working with Marriott and Hilton and Hyatt and large organizations rolling these out. I've never seen any cost savings under 15%, and most of them go into the 30% range. There's a little bit, right? The old adage, you have to spend money to save money. You got to make a little investment. But the ROI in certain circumstances can be 3 months, 6 months, or even shorter. So the two go hand in hand. Yeah, there may be some outliers where we haven't quite caught up, but I think everything has come more in line than it used to be.
I'm going to do a quick yes and rip a page out of Jennifer's book. Lisa, it seems to me that even if at first blush it seems more expensive, you're missing out on all that ancillary revenue, like those groups that may demand you need to do something sustainable, right?
Correct. Exactly. I mean, the consumer is asking for it. They're requiring it. They're looking for it. We respond to thousands of RFPs every single week where we've got to check those boxes, right? And so I think it has to be front and center in terms of our thinking as operators. I think our consumer is demanding it. They expect it. They're looking for it, and we need to make sure that we're meeting that expectation.
Yeah. So yeah, go for it, John.
John, if I can, let me say this. I think the strategy around sustainability needs to be more of a response rather than a reaction. A reaction is, oh, I need to get this product in order to achieve this. A response is, I need to build a strategy that helps me long-term understand how I can weave sustainability through procurement, through operations, through a culture at my unit, my hotel, for my team, so that this becomes embedded in that culture at the hotel and they live it. And then it can carry on long term. You don't have to make that sacrifice.
Right. I don't want to get too off topic here, but Lars, how are you thinking about all of this set against the backdrop of purchasing and making sure you're profitable at your hotels?
I think Jeffrey made a great point. We know that there's a growing demand for transparency, for sustainability, and really for personalization. And all of these require investments, and yet the guests are still expecting top tier experiences regardless of the budget constraints. So our challenge is really finding ways to maintain cost efficiency while still delivering this high quality. And that brings me to Jennifer, with the brands. I think that the brands spend a lot of money to do the research that Jeffrey kind of just talked about. So really our goal is to be as closely aligned to the brands as we can. And to Lisa's point, right, we have one big partner that we work with for purchasing on the operational sides. And we want to make sure that our participation is high so that we do have the rebates that come with that contract.
Right. You work with a bunch of different brands, both of you and Lisa do. So how are you balancing your purchasing with guest satisfaction over myriad brands for different owners?
I'll just jump in here quick and say, we partner with the GPO that can help us with all of our brand standard requirements across the board, and a lot of benefits come from that, right? They can really help us, fine tune and make sure that we're getting the right product in the right hotels. I will say that one of the biggest benefits that we see from working with our GPO is that we have, an automated platform for ordering, for creating purchase orders, for marrying up purchase orders and invoices, the efficiency of ordering. And another thing that's really changed for us, Glenn, I think here in the last year or so is the planning, right? It used to be, back in the day when I was a GM, and that was, probably 20 years ago or so. I'd order on Monday, I'd get it on Tuesday, right? It was just like, and I could order 3 times a week, and I never worried about anything. Now we have to really plan our purchases a lot differently, and a GPO with an automated purchasing platform can help you do that, right? Where you're really looking at your inventory, you're really looking at your past purchases, you're planning well in advance. You're anticipating, to Lars's point earlier about the volatility. We have to understand that it's going to be there, and we've got to work around it. And so that's been a great tool for us to be able to overcome some of those challenges that come with procurement today.
So let me see if I got this right. So let's just use toilet paper as an example. You get below, the system kind of knows how much you use on average. You get below a threshold, and then it just arrives. Yes, Jennifer, I see you agreeing.
Oh yeah, I was nodding because what Lisa's saying is, what we kind of preach to our hotel partners daily, right? Like Jeffrey mentioned earlier, we partner with Entegra, and they've got some great tools on their platform. And you're right, Lisa, right? That if you're utilizing this technology, you're no longer just looking at what you've ordered in the past, right? You can start to forecast based on your occupancy trends in the future what you'll need. You can set up automatic orders for things that have longer shelf lives, right? So think toilet paper, right? Garbage bags, things that look, you run a hotel, you're going to use it. So if you've got the storage space and you have, the extra revenue this month, go ahead and stock up on something so that you're kind of prepared for it, an influx in occupancy, if you will. But I would say the same thing that Lisa did, utilizing those technology tools is imperative in today's procurement strategy world.
Lars, how are you leveraging technology to be more efficient in that sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, data is extremely important for us, and it's something that we really use on a daily basis. Pardon me. I think that when I really look closely and how we came out of the pandemic, and right, we got back into the hotels, and it was still, a little bit of, our, teams on property really doing all of the purchasing. But when we really looked at it, and when we got, together with our, big GPO, it was really looking at the data, understanding where and when we're purchasing, and really much more important, and this is really what Jennifer just brought up, it is now becoming a forecasting tool. It is something that we're utilizing to look into the future further and further, just to understand where our purchaser goes. So to the point of we used to use it to look backwards, I think we've shifted gears to really look into the future now.
That's interesting. And my guess is, Lisa, when you were the GM 20 years ago, that was not even a concept that came into your mind. Right.
No, it really wasn't. It was, drop an order, expected it to arrive the next day, and you weren't even really thinking about it. There was no volatility in terms of the market. There was very little volatility in terms of like supply chain, and it just wasn't even a concern. And now it is. And I think we have to plan for it. We have to look ahead. We have to forecast. Another thing that I think is important is taking advantage of rebates, incentives, and things, and that's where a GPO can really help you do that. And when I was on property, we just didn't have those
Right.
GPOs out there to the way we do today, right? And so I think taking advantage of those relationships to get rebates, to get incentives, to buy things like that have a longer shelf life. To Jennifer's point, that there might be a deal on something right now, and like let's make some storage space to go ahead and stock up on something, and being really strategic and thoughtful. It's really changed in the last, especially the last 5, 6 years.
Fascinating. Jeffrey, I know you need to say something.
Yeah, well, so I mean, I started out my career at a Red Lion where I was a purchasing director. Purchasing directors don't really exist as much as they used to. So now what you have is really decentralized procurement at the hotel level. The housekeeping organization could be ordering something, laundry, the kitchen, and it's so you really, to Lisa's point, you really have to have a good strategy. You have to have integration of the team and understand what you're doing. And then also there's a tremendous amount of data. Who gets the data? Nowadays, there is so much data, it can be overwhelming. And so you really have to sort through it and come up with it as a team to say what data is important to us. What is going to help us look into the future, plan our business, predict volatility, and have contingency and resiliency in our supply chain that allows us to be effective and survive some of those things that come along.
That's crazy. We went from not having any understanding of what's going on to having such a deluge of information, it's almost impossible to keep up to it. I guess that's where AI and stuff will come in, but that's a conversation for another day.
But
Yeah.
the interesting point is and it also used to be in older days that the data would take weeks and weeks to get. Now the data is literally instantaneous.
Right.
So those tools are enabling you to look. Entegra has a great tool, Procurement IQ, that allows you to look and say, you've been buying this. If you switch to this, here's what you can save. Here's what the inventory, like those kinds of tools enable people to make better decisions at a unit level to deliver cost savings, to deliver customer satisfaction, things that could potentially suffer if you're not utilizing those tools.
Makes sense. So we got a great question that folds right into this. Question is, do you have a formula for balancing cost efficiency and guest expectations? My guess is the answer is somewhere between yes and feelings and stuff like that about how it's going. Anyone want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, I think, certainly it's not just about finding lower prices. I think we have to understand that what we just talked about with Jeffrey and all of that data, it helps us minimize waste, right? It helps us just improve general supplier management. And it really helps us also to streamline some of the internal processes. And I think that's the data where we are still in the infant stages, is how do we take that and apply it to a lot of those items and not just negotiating lower prices.
Yeah, I feel like every episode I've seen of Kitchen Nightmares, people purchased way too much. And I love that you're bringing up that point, Lars, because it's something that I don't really think about, not as a restaurateur, is that you should really understand how much you're using. Jennifer, I guess that's what you're thinking about on a day-to-day basis, exactly how many of every single breakfast item is going, for example.
You'd be surprised at how many spreadsheets I look at on a regular basis, just kind of looking at that. I also, as we're talking through, like you said, AI is super helpful. And like you said, that's probably its own session in its own, but in its own right. But, risk mitigation, think about, how often, the bird flu or just things that pop up, right? These things happen, prices increase. They're outliers that kind of affect our supply chain or the ability to get some of the things that you need at your hotel. And being a part of a GPO or utilizing this technology, like Jeffrey mentioned, Entegra IQ, something that we push with our hotels all the time. You can't always foresee or see the future, but you can use what's available to you to have the products and services that your brand requires to deliver the guest experience that you want, and hopefully save money in the same turn.
Yeah, Lisa?
Yeah, I think there's another piece too, another data point that we look at a lot is the like the inventories, for instance, like in our corner pantries at our hotels, right? What SKUs are selling, what are the most popular products, what sells in what regions of the country. If we just added another cooler or freezer for more ice cream or more, beverages, so I think there's a lot of data points out there that we, work with our GPOs and other partners, other vendor partners, to take a look at and see, okay, well, what's the data tell us across the country, and how can we generate more revenue if we had other SKUs available in our corner pantries and other kind of retail opportunities, and that's really become a big focus for us. We've made huge improvements in top line revenue out of really focusing on, do Doritos sell better than Miss Vicky's, or does all of those
Yeah.
things, right?
No disrespect to Miss Vicky's, but I fly Delta and I've had enough Miss Vicky's. I want Zapp's chips out of New Orleans, but my childhood favorite is Wise, which is
Yes.
Northeastern kind of a brand. The reason why I'm joking around and saying that is because with hotels all over the country, you're probably thinking about in your stores having those local items. Lars, I'm guessing you guys are focused on the same kind of thing as well.
We do have local items, but we take it a different approach. So, we just brought it up. Jennifer brought it up. When you look at, let's talk about food, right?
Mhm.
We can already predict where certain meats, for example, are heading. And the way that we can do that is in our markets, we can talk about and say, yes, you're buying locally, but I think you should shift your focus towards that protein or towards another one. And that really helps us to get the best pricing on a nationwide level, but doing so locally. And I think that has been a great success for us.
Yeah, that's really, really great. Another question coming out. Jeffrey, I guess this one is for you. Do you have an estimate on how much you can save using a GPO versus not leveraging the power of a GPO?
Ooh, that is a loaded question. I would
It
say
is a loaded question and probably on a per product basis, but I don't care. I'm asking it anyway.
yeah, I would say probably at a minimum 5%, but I've seen it as high as 15% or even higher, depending on
Category.
I think it was Lisa's point earlier, how, and Lars as well, how will you participate, right? What is your willingness to commit to the GPO and allow them to bring the leverage to your business that they have that can deliver cost savings? Because if you're going to sign up and then, well, I want just this little program or these little products, you're not going to see the full impact of what a GPO can truly bring to you.
Right. But Jennifer, also, I mean, clock radios versus donuts versus, anything else, a charger out front for your electric cars. All of those things probably have a different type of savings associated with them, right?
Oh, absolutely. And while we partner with Entegra primarily for food and beverage right now, they actually have a vast variety of vendors that provide a lot of the services that you're referencing now, right? So we kind of try to highlight those other services that maybe hoteliers don't need on a regular basis, but when they do, there are opportunities to save if you utilize your GPO partners.
Yeah, that's great. So, I'm curious, Lisa, what are you focused on when it comes to, sourcing and negotiating? How do you think about new products? How do you think about what to introduce and make changes in your hotels? Do you just do one hotel at a time? Do you do them all at a hotel time? And how does that GPO kind of fit into those thoughts?
Yeah, so we partner with our GPO on like the overall portfolio, and whether it's upgrading the corner pantry or market experience, or doing something different in food and beverage. A lot of the emphasis goes into new hotel openings or rebrandings. We've got a lot of those going on right now, and we work very closely with our GPO and their partners and our partners on sourcing the right products and the right vendors to fulfill those needs for like a new hotel opening. Usually it's about, and it has to be a balanced approach, like to what like Lars was saying earlier. It can't just be about cost, right? It's got to be about cost, quality. To Jennifer's point, the long term sort of use of that product. Does it add value? Will it help us generate more revenue? And so, we look at our portfolio sort of across the board, kind of grouping out select service, kind of different than full service, and then new hotel openings and rebrandings are kind of their own little bucket. But we meet with our GPO and really key vendors very frequently, and are always looking for opportunities to strategize, partner, etc. Another thing that I think that a GPO can bring to is not just like to Jennifer's point, food and beverage. That's what Choice is using Entegra for currently, but your GPO can also help you with elevator contracts and service, and parking contracts and service, and all kinds of other services and things like that. And we've leveraged some of those relationships to improve pricing, but also improve consistency and quality of service, because that's really important. When the GPO has a strong partnership or relationship with a service provider, they kind of carry a lot more weight, and they can help sort of influence the service that the property receives. So, and I think that's a really important part of it as well.
That's true. And honestly, not all bacon is created equal. As tough times, in order to be satisfied, satisfy your guests, you got to focus on a better bacon. Jennifer?
I was just going to say too, having those kind of collaborative vendor relationships are super helpful as well. I mean, we have a recent success story with Entegra. We rolled out, Choice did a program, a new brand standard within our hotel organization, and there was an addition or an ancillary service that was needed, and it's not obviously something that the hotels need every day, because the brand program revolved around some capital purchasing. And I just mentioned to our Entegra account manager, it's like, look, this is kind of a problem that we're solving for. What do you see across the industry? And it just so happened that they had another partner within their organization that provided the service that we were looking for. So it was just super convenient that we had that collaborative relationship and could kind of lean into, maybe something that wasn't as important or top of mind in the past, but currently in our brands, right, was a need. So I think establishing the relationships is important, but then also being super collaborative.
Yeah. So, Lars, give me an example of that kind of collaborative approach that you've found success with.
Yeah, the GPO is deeply, really embedded in our culture. We, worked with the same company for a few years now, and we have a 90% participation rate. And I know that Jeffrey knows what that means. And it really helped us with things that you mentioned, Glenn, in the beginning. We were voted the number one hotel company in the United States when it came to serving our guests. And the GPO plays a big role here, right? We put our efforts in, and we get the efforts out from our GPO, which then helps us, again, with pricing, but really with the quality product that our guests are looking for and that we promise from our brand perspective.
Lisa, do they bring ideas to you on products and stuff like that too?
Well, one of the biggest successes I've seen recently is conversations around tariffs, where our rep from the RGPO called and said, "Hey, let's get on a call about tariffs. What does it mean? What's going to happen?" And anyway, there's a lot going on in that space, and I think there's probably there's televisions, for instance. I know there's inventory in the U.S. that has been here for 18 months, but we're still likely going to end up paying tariffs on that inventory that's already been here. But nonetheless, but recently I had our rep reach out and say, "Hey, I know you've got a big linen purchase coming for a new hotel opening that we were doing, and like if we didn't execute the order by X date, there was going to be $7,000 additional in tariffs related to that order," right? So they really help us stay on top of those things to say, "Hey, you're gonna want to do this, plan ahead." So we have like almost weekly conversations with our partners, and really helping us stay ahead of some of those things, or talking to us in advance about what they're seeing in the markets and what they think is going to happen with meat or produce or dairy or what have you. It's just incredibly helpful to have those insights. And nobody really has a crystal ball necessarily, but they're trying to stay ahead of that, regularly posting articles and news and things on the intranet sites and emailing us updates constantly. I mean, it's incredibly helpful, but like literally they saved us $7,000 just, last week on that one linen order. So
Wow, that's pretty amazing, and I could really see a situation where Ted Peters, your SVP of Food and Beverage, for example, meets with your GPO person, and that GPO person is like, "I've been hearing about this new particular product. This new trend that's going," and then Ted is like, "Oh, I'm thinking about this and this, and we're just doing this Cuban thing down in Miami," and that kind of thing.
apparently, Ted very well.
I also hosted the last conference for Remington, but that's a story. That's a story for another day. But yes, I've definitely had a tequila with him, or that's for sure. All right, we got another question coming in right now. So, what is the one item in the guest room you believe has the biggest impact on overall guest experience, and is sustainability part of that purchasing? In that guest room experience. Lars, what do you think over there?
Well, I think there's one area in the hotel room that we spend the most time in, and that is certainly in the bed. And I think that a bed makes a big difference, right? When you first walk into a hotel room, that's usually the first thing that you see, and that's the first, part of the experience. And then obviously, there's a lot of things that we have to purchase to put a bed together, and so there's a lot of impact from there from a bed.
And I'd like to thank Barry Sternlicht for reminding us that beds were really important back in the 1990s, and for getting us away from the scourge of flowered bedspreads as well. Lisa, how about you? Is the bed for you? You think, or is it something else in there?
Yeah, the bed, and then I think next step is probably the TV and how you interact with the entertainment in your room. I think a lot of folks have switched obviously to streaming their own Netflix or Hulu or what have you. I'm sort of a news junkie, so I do just kind of use the traditional TV and watch my news that way. But when I'm traveling with my kids, definitely it's Netflix is the first thing they're trying to figure out how to work on the TV. And is sustainability a part of those purchasing decisions?
Yeah.
Honestly, for the bed and the TV, probably not yet. I'm sure that's coming. I'm sure that there's a lot of stuff going on that will eventually make that at the forefront. I think we are mostly focused from a sustainability perspective, focused on, whether we're using, plasticware and, wrappers and cups and all of those things in our rooms, or, shifting to glass. And, obviously the bulk amenities is a big focus. But yeah, I don't think sustainability is really touching, and Jennifer and others, correct me if I'm wrong. I just don't see it kind of center front with beds or TVs yet.
So
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Jeffrey.
I was going to say, so one focus of, for the bed is recycling, right? The mattress. It used to be that the mattress, you had a roll off show up and you just dumped it in there and it went to a landfill. Now, I mean, there's certain states, I think the number's 3 or 5 that require recycling. But, one of the things we did is make sure we had a recycling program for mattresses, because that's incredibly important. You don't want that stuff going to the landfill. The other thing is, if you think about sheeting.
I just want to be clear, not recycling in the sense that other people are going to use the bed. The components are taken for other stuff. Go on.
Correct. Yes. And then also, if you think about the sheets, the duvet covers, etc. I mean, there's new technologies that are coming out that lighten the product, that create more durability, that are made out of bamboo instead of cotton. Like there's different ways. So those are starting to become more commonplace. There's also a product called Cyclo that takes the plastic and breaks it down more in landfills. So I think there's tremendous opportunities that are coming more to the forefront on the bedside that really take the sleep, because the sleep experience, as Lars said, is incredibly important, and take that to a different sustainability level than it's historically been at.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. All right, we got a great question. Jeffrey, maybe you could answer this. Are we seeing or going to see more U.S. manufacturers of FF&E? My hunch is no. I just don't think Americans are interested in those kinds of jobs, but I don't know what I'm talking about. Jeffrey, maybe you have an idea.
It's a very good question. Clearly, the tariffs, not now, but started back in 2016, 2017, forced manufacturers to think about whether they want to produce in China or not. So it's just the time horizon to shift your production facility to Vietnam or other areas was very difficult. In terms of the U.S., I mean, there are isolated FF&E products, seating, and some other things that are made in the States. Are we going to see wholesale FF&E case goods, things like that move? Right now, I have not seen a trend of that moving wholesale, perhaps into Mexico, maybe into South America, but for the U.S., I have not seen it yet. I think there are isolated instances on the FF&E side where you can purchase domestically, and certainly in the old, many years ago, a decade ago, it was 12, 15, 17%. That has come down. I've seen some numbers in the 6 to 8% range of the price differential. So it's there's more possibilities.
Yeah, and we hope so because I'm a big fan of made in America stuff, and I know a lot of great companies out there. One furniture manufacturer, though they deal in China, they also have a factory in Jersey.
Yes.
So I love that. So they're building real things there that are going into hotels, but that's also where they build custom stuff and do all of that kind of work.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think what you'll see more is the assembly in the United States versus it coming over fully assembled and just shipped in containers that way.
Which is great. And none of you have to answer this, but a lot of times when stuff comes in from China, you got to send back or throw out a good percentage of it. So go American made stuff for sure. So we're starting to get into that point where we need to start thinking about the future and where we're going to go with technology and how you should be thinking about procurement planning going forward. So Lisa, how are you thinking about 2026, generally speaking, when it comes to procurement, and what are some of the strategies you think you're going to implement?
Yeah, I think definitely use of technology and continuing to expand that use of technology. Using a GPO, you've got an online platform that you're using for your purchase order creation and all of that stuff. We use a platform that allows for like a checkbook component that we're hoping continues to get expanded and improved over time, where the GMs and the on-property leaders can better manage their expenses. I think being more strategic in terms of planning when you're purchasing certain things, from a seasonality perspective, I think kind of and improving really your budgeting and forecasting. I think that's become really, really critical. We spend a lot less time now looking in the rearview mirror and a lot more time looking ahead at forecasting and making sure that we're planning spend and purchasing at the right times, not just based on history, but based on sort of what we're seeing, kind of reading in the tea leaves and so to speak. But I think use of technology, AI, I think will become a big part of it. AI's, really kind of creeping in everywhere. And I think AI will become I'd love to hear Jeffrey's thoughts on AI and procurement, because I'm sure that's going to continue to expand and as we move forward.
It is expanding right now. I mean, and it is so fast. I think most folks out there, and I would consider myself in that category as well, is you don't realize how fast and how important it's going to be at this particular moment. But whether it's predictive analytics, so we talked about to kind of, as Lars and Lisa and Jennifer talked about, kind of predicting the future, trying to get some stability and consistency in what the future looks like in some BPO, so business process outsourcing, processing invoices and things like that fast. And I would say this also is that I know there's a great fear that AI is going to completely replace everyone's job and we'll all be sitting on a couch eating chips. And I don't see that happening.
That's great to me, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I mean, especially the chips you talked about, right? So I think AI is going to supplement your staff, your team. It's going to help you deliver better service to your guest. It's going to help you think about your business better, operate it more efficiently. And the things it can do are frankly amazing. I think another thing you talked about innovation is robotics are coming along. I mean, I shop at BJ's warehouse, my wife and I, and there's a little robot running around saying, with a little face that says, scan here and I'll tell you how much it cost. And so in a hotel, you could have robots who are now vacuuming your ballroom instead of a staff member. I've even seen robots greeting guests when they come in. So that is something that's going to accelerate as well.
I love that. One thing I don't like is Marty the robot at Stop and Shop. He's just getting in the way all over the place. We're talking, Lars talking about AI and all of that kind of stuff. I will tell you, I think one place that it's going to help is he's talking about getting rid of all of that stuff that people don't want to do. You think it might help with staff engagement too? Because if they don't have to do all the boring stuff and look at endless spreadsheets like poor Jennifer over there, they might want to stick around a little longer.
Yeah, I think that AI, it's in all disciplines, right, within our industry, and I think that HR is certainly leveraging this as well, from coming from an associate perspective, just from having a better experience from the first time that they have a communication with our company, right? I think that's where we have started going. Is that we're trying to create an experience through AI that helps us attract the best talent that there is, and so to Jeffrey's point, a lot of these things just happened over the last few years. A lot of this happened over the last 24 months. So there will be more of that. And I think that, to your point, Glenn, it's going to be very positive to our associates in many ways.
Yeah. And I will say, Jennifer, one thing I learned when I was at your annual conference over at Mandalay Bay
Yes.
here this past May, your CEO, Pat Pacious, told me, and this surprised me, y'all have been involved in AI for like 5+ years, or
Yes.
something like that. That really blew me away. So, how is your organization thinking about how it's going to be able to transform your operation?
Right. Well, that's why I was smiling while everyone was talking, because I was like, "Wow, this makes me feel better about my all of my spreadsheets." And I'm always talking about data. I think I drive my team crazy, but I can't say this enough. You leverage data and analytics. You're able to see your spend visibility from the past. You're able to use it from a predictive insight perspective, and then, which is where I think we're going with AI, right? You can then start to tie some of these KPIs to it, right? So that you're not just shifting from, like we talked earlier, about cost focused metrics, but also value metrics as well. Then eliminating, whether it be labor cost, waste, increasing energy efficiency, et cetera. These are all of the things that utilizing AI and data can kind of show you to help kind of set those strategies for the future. So yeah, I'm a big nerd when it comes to data, but I leverage AI a lot, and it's definitely a thing of the future. I mean, it's here, like Pat says, right? It's not that kind of futuristic view is what folks kind of think about it. We're using it now. It's here.
Totally. And hey, listen, I know a lot of you out there are still uncomfortable with it, but
Yes.
remember, we thought the future was going to be like the Jetsons, flying cars and all of that kind of stuff. But the reality is, it's all about the technology in the palm of your hand. And this is just an extension of that. So don't be intimidated by it. In fact, go and ask an AI how you could leverage AI, and it'll probably give you a really good answer over there. Let's go to Lars. I think we're just about ready to start wrapping up. So maybe some final thoughts, a piece of advice, and one actionable insight people could take away from them, please.
Yeah, I think that when we talk about today's environment, cost control can't come at the expense of the guests.
Right.
And I think that's important to know. It really has to be a dual track strategy. So while we're obviously looking for operational efficiency and guest satisfaction equally, I think now is the time for hoteliers to really elevate procurement, from a back office function to more of a strategic pillar that really supports the long-term growth of the company. I think we need to lead into collaboration, really share best practices across the industry. And, I think there's going to be more investments in smart technologies that really help us stay resilient. Again, it's unpredictable out there. And the smartest way forward is really to build a system that can adapt as quickly as the market changes.
As unpredictable as everything is out there, there is one thing is predictable, that every time our incredible business feels like we've hit a wall in opportunity, in profitability, something changes that resets everything. That's what's happening right now with AI. And I really think we're in this influx period, Lisa, right? Where we're seeing these wages increase as they should, but we theoretically will not need nearly as many people hours going forward while still being able to deliver amazing customer service because of where we're headed. How do you think about that? And some awesome final thoughts from you, please.
Yeah, I think it's really important to leverage technology, but in a thoughtful way, right? Leverage technology to do the things that are kind of back office or not guest facing or sort of a waste of time, if you will, for an actual human, and use that technology to take care of those things, so our team members have more time to interact with our guests. Our leaders have more time to train and develop our team members. We've got more time to plan strategically and make a big impact. So use technology to get, kind of put away some of that kind of busy work stuff. And even if it's delivering towels to a room attendant on a floor, let's do that and have the houseman in the lobby instead greeting guests as they're, changing garbage cans or something like that. So I think it's really about leveraging technology so we can interact with the guest more.
Yeah, I love that. Any advice for our listeners out there? Good actionable insight for them to take away, Lisa?
Yeah, I think the thing, I think embrace technology. I think be curious, learn as much as you can about AI or robotics or what have you, how it could have a positive impact on your hotel or your organization as a whole. I think be curious is the biggest thing. I'm always using Chat GPT for stuff or Googling things or what have you, and just be curious and don't be afraid of technology. I think listen, I'm 52 years old. I mean, there's some technology. I don't know how to work our TV at home very well, but my kids do.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for them. Thank
Yeah.
you. But you've got to be curious and you can't be afraid of it. You can't be afraid of it.
That's right. Always be curious. ABC, that's super important. That's going to get you through a lot of life. And don't be intimidated, especially if you're older folks like us. The fact of the matter is, you can adapt to new technologies. Chances are you just don't want to put the energy and effort into it. So, you got to get past that. I feel the same way. I would really rather be listening to an 8-track tape, but now I got to stream stuff, right? Jennifer, how about you? And thank you for taking time off of vacation to be with us.
Well, I was gonna say I keep smiling when you say Zapp's potato chips because that's probably downstairs in my sister in law's kitchen now. But I think just listening to everyone, it's actually pretty refreshing, right? Coming from a franchisor experience, right? Or perspective. It's I think just not just focusing on price, but the total cost of ownership, and then using the tools that are available, right? Your GPO partnerships, your other vendor partnerships, your brand affiliation, right? I just often see hotels that focus only on price, and it's so much more than that. Trying to maximize energy savings, time, brand consistency, reduce waste. All of those things are things that the hotel should be considering when they're calculating their purchasing decisions. Um, and again, echoing what everyone's saying, right? Then it allows us to focus on why we're here. I mean, I often tell our owners, you chose this line of business for a reason, right? We're in the hospitality industry. Our guests' experience are what we want to kind of maintain and guarantee at the end of the day. So use the resources you have to save the money, but remember why we're here at the same time.
That's true. And I love that notion of being smart about things, right?
Mhm.
So, I have shirts that I have in my closet that I've had for 20 plus years now because they're quality garments. But when some of the fast fashion places, they're cheaper. That stuff lasts like one season. So after a year or two, you spent more money on those 4 items than you would have if you just spent the money in the first place. So I just want to kind of frame it that way for you, Jeffrey. Last person standing, you get the final word until I guess I decide to say something after you.
Yeah. So I would say, look, long term success requires energy, effort, and enthusiasm.
Love it.
Right. And Lisa had a great point about curiosity. I was going to say that. So I'm going to shift to the other thing is be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Something the Navy SEALs say, I try to employ it in my life. There's a natural human resistance towards that because of what uncomfortable really means, but allows you to stretch, it allows you to grow, it allows you to become, achieve excellence. So I think, I'll just finish with a GPO partner like Entegra has the ability to have culinary services. We're an extension of your team, right? There's behind me, there's another 250 people supporting the business. Whether it's culinary, whether it's food, whether it's non-food, and we're really a performance improvement company. So don't be afraid to take a look under the hood and see what's available for you, because I think in these tight times where you just don't have the people you used to have, having an organization that can support you and extend your team and be a part of your team is incredibly valuable in these times.
That's absolutely right. And just get out there, do things. And when you do them and you're trying new things, don't be afraid to fail. That is okay. That's what gets us to success. If we don't have those failures, we're never going to be able to find our way to find what the right answer is. Iterate, make it happen, engage your people. I want to thank all of you for being out here in the audience. And of course, Lisa, Jennifer, Lars, Jeffrey, and myself. Thank you guys. We love you. We'll see you next time right back here on a Hotel Business Hot Topic. Thanks so much. See you again soon.
Thank you.